Well, I think we can speak now to the Shadow Foreign Secretary, Andrew Mitchell. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. And I just wonder, first of all, what you make of what has happened here.
Well, obviously, it's an appalling act of violence and wickedness and has been rightly condemned by everyone for what it is.
I mean, what do you think it says about the nature of politics here and the atmosphere surrounding politics here?
Well, I think on both sides of the Atlantic, we've had our election here. And we've seen the coarsening of political debate. The reports back from candidates on all sides in Britain talked about that coarsening, and now we've seen this horrific act in America, so rightly condemned by President Biden and by everyone else and by our Prime Minister too. And I think, there are issues to be addressed on that. It's in Britain, it's certainly coarsened because of social media. And there are issues, as I say, which we need to address as a society. I thought the Speaker of the House of Commons put it very well just before the weekend when he said that politicians need to respect each other and the public need to respect politicians. And, that I think is right. And we need to try and row back from the general decline and downward spiral of recent years.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there are those who say that Donald Trump has played his own part in the coarsening of political language, if you like, here in the United States. There was the attack on Congress, of course. Do you think that is true?
Well, I think that everyone has to learn lessons, and perhaps that includes people around Donald Trump as well. And of course, there's the whole issue of guns and gun licensing in America, which lurks in the foreground rather than the background on all of this. But I think that this is a moment now for politics and politicians to change some of the attitudes and some of the practices which have been part of the downward spiral to which I referred.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that. This does appear to be this collision between, the gun laws in this country and the highly charged politics. What did you make of what President Biden had to say from the Oval Office?
Well, I thought I've only seen the extracts on Sky, but I thought that what he said was right and sensible, and I hope that all reasonable people and will note what he said and will note the wider effects of all of this, and the consequences, hopefully, of this appalling act will be beneficial for the political discourse more generally.
Yes, I mean, Joe Biden was hinting at more understanding in politics, less hostility. Do you think that there is a chance of more civility in politics, both sides of the Atlantic?
I think if we adhere to the old principle anew that one should play the ball and not the man or woman, that would be a good thing. But I do think there's already clear signs from what the Speaker said last week. There's clear signs that what happened in Britain in some parts of the country during the election, the harassment of candidates, particularly women candidates, is completely unacceptable and has no place in our politics. And all these events together, hopefully, will lead to a change. And as I say, more respect, perhaps, for politicians, which starts with politicians respecting each other more. And I think that's very true.
And just finally, what this has done is deflected attention away from the fitness for office or fitness to stand for the next presidency of Joe Biden. Where do you stand on that? Do you think there is a problem there?
Well, that is a matter for Joe Biden and for the Democratic Party in America. It's certainly not a matter for a British politician.